Welcome back, Algebra 1. This is the A1 wrap-up. So we have gone over multiple problems, and I am trying to hit the highlights and significant points I want you to understand. Today, at the end of this, my focus is that you submit your assignment, something for every problem, whether you understand it or not, something that you know and something that confuses you, so I know where to start when I help you. So give me something. Also from that, you are going to go into Delta Math and complete the 8.1 check for understanding. Delta Math gives you immediate feedback, whether you're right or wrong, and it gives you instructional support by giving you a way to solve it. If you have a different way of solving it, as long as it makes sense to you and you can communicate it to me, we'll talk about the validity of it. But if you have a system, you'll find out whether it works or not in Delta Math. So this first week was all about solving equations, recognizing equivalent forms, and talking about the number of solutions. Didn't really hit that, but I'll give you some examples going into next week. You had resources that you could use and look up. All these were hyperlinks inside your assignment that you could click and go to. I promise you, I give you resources for you. Also, in Delta Math, if you haven't, this is how you get into my class. You're going to get into the 2021 Algebra 1 course. That's my email, and that's my class code. So when it asks you for a class code, that's what you need. So in previous videos, I have done 39. And basically, when it comes to solving equations, you use inverse operations. So the opposite of multiply is divide. The inverse of addition is subtract. And the inverse of squaring is the square root. Right? So on this one, if you divide both sides by 2, you get x. If you divide both sides by -3, you get -4. So to get x by itself, side by side is multiplication. The inverse is to divide. Oh, I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by a. So this is b over a. Not 6, b over a. It gets tricky. So with order of operations, it's PEMDAS. So when you know the numbers, you use PEMDAS. But when you're trying to solve it, you undo it. When you're trying to solve equations, you undo PEMDAS. So you look to see if you have addition and subtraction first. You do. The opposite of adding is subtracting. Order matters on this. The inverse of multiplication is division. So your answer should be C minus B over A, or it could be C over A minus B over A, or it could be B over A plus C over A. All of those are equivalent forms. Down here, you have, so if we go back to order of operations, you undo the order of operations to solve something. So inside the parentheses, I can't do anything, but side next to parentheses is multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So this is working back from order of operations. I don't have subtraction, but I have addition. The opposite of adding is subtracting. So this is D over A minus C. Gets tricky. Be careful with your variables. They can end up looking the same. So working my way back, I don't have subtraction or addition, but I have multiplication. The opposite is division. So D over A minus C all over B. There are multiple ways to write this. So if you have a different form, you may be correct. Okay. All right. I really want to see what you come up with for C and D, but to help you with solving that, I'm looking at 43. So 43, this is being multiplied by X, and this is being multiplied by X. An equivalent form, the opposite of multiplying, this is divide. So if you divide that, you get A plus B. Hopefully you can use that to solve C for 44. Same thing over here. Divide both sides by both terms by X. So this is P minus Q. Cool. So we did an example with that one. We talked about multiplying by the least common multiple to clear the fraction. And we talked about having a common denominator when you do operations with fractions. This one, I'll do its own separate video because it's going to take time. And if it's too large, it won't upload. But I have you for 68. Okay. All right. So tell you what, the second half of this, I will make its own wrap-up video. So this is wrap-up part 1. And I will do a wrap-up for part 2. All right, let's go, Truman.